Okay, good evening, everybody. This is Aaron Yoon coming at you from New York City. This is just continuing the series that I started yesterday. Only I'm on both Facebook and YouTube now, hoping to share this with as many novice traders as possible. Um, I my intention here is to share with you a trading system that you can do on a daily basis. It doesn't change. It's the same every single day, and so that you can have more room and bandwidth to actually manage the most important part of trading, which is the emotional and mental aspect of it. And that's what you're going to get here. You're not going to get like a new strategy every single day. It's going to be the same daily breakout trades, but what you're going to get is what I don't think is talked about enough, and that is the mindset and emotional journaling and dialogue that we all go through, but I don't believe we share enough. I guess we all have egos and we have uh, pride get in our way, and this is my best attempt to mitigate some of that. So that being said, let's get into today's trade here, which was a spoiler alert. It was a loss. I did lose money on this trade today. Today is June 16th. It is a Tuesday, and we yeah, just for anyone just joining in, we are going to review the daily breakout trade. So I've heard different versions of this trade, whether it be like the first 5 minutes, the first 3 minutes, or the first minute. But I go with a larger time frame. I give myself a little bit more cushion, and I go with the first 15 minutes. So today is June 16th. You can see the time like right here. And this is our opening candle at 9:30. 9:30 right here. This is this candle right here. So the high and low of this candle is where if it goes higher than this, the high of this candle, then we're gonna buy. Obviously, you can tell in hindsight that it went lower, and you'd think it was a win, right? Considering this nasty move down, this should have been at least a 2, 3, maybe 3, maybe even a 4-to-1 if I were to take it all the way down to the 3075 at past the green line area, which is kind of a psychological round price, both target, and you can kind of see that it was a place where the price bounced off. Anyway, that's getting into other things. Let's get into the actual trade here. um, you have the high there, and I think I nailed it pretty close. So if it broke out above the top purple line, I was gonna buy, and it did actually, right? It did for a second right here. You can see that it actually did break out. However, I did not take that trade. I did not just blindly put a buy stop order here to take the trade up. I actually ended up saving myself. The reason I didn't enter that is because of this indicator right here. I don't, as much as trading should be as systemized as possible, it's also more of an art than it is a science. That's why it's so difficult. If it was just a science, then somebody would write a instruction manual on how to always win, and that would be the end of it. It'd be so easy to win. But it is more of an art. My reasoning for not taking the long here above this purple line is that this the RSI indicator here, right? This is what I use to measure momentum. Was showing that it was above 60. So this entire pre-market, all since last night, crazy rally last night. Just on a side note, I did catch some of this on the overnight, but that is not the topic of these videos. But I just want to make sure that everybody understands that I do more than trade what I show on these videos. And yesterday I did catch, it's not on this contract, it was actually on the June contract, not the September contract, which is why you don't see any red or blue arrows. but I caught almost 100 points of this on the actually excuse me, closer to like 50 points, not 100 points, about a 50 point move. And even though this was closer to like a almost like a 100 point move since like the day before, so the so the reason I'm not taking the long off of the breakout here is because um I even though I oh I'm so sorry. I said this completely the opposite. What ended up happen I said it completely the opposite because of what I was looking at. So scratch that, guys. I was looking for the long. I was not looking for the short, which is what we got. This nasty movement is from the the Fed speaking, and he didn't give like the best news. The market didn't like it. That's usually when you see these nasty drops in a span of 15 minutes. The market went from 31.41 all the way down. It dropped like 60 points, which is it's just more actually. If you 60, 70, like it's just that's just a nasty move. That's just way too fast. Almost always driven. These kinds of crazy moves are almost always driven by some kind of surprise kind of news, right? The last time I saw this that was even worse than this was when they announced something about a coronavirus drug, where it was like it had failed, and it had failed like the initial testing or something like that. It did what the outlook was not good, a lot worse than originally intended, and we saw a nasty move. It was actually worse than this, a ridiculous move for the rest of the day. At least this one only lasted like two 15-minute, like maybe 30 to 45 minutes. This kind of was done and over with. So because I saw the RSI above 60, which indicates that the momentum is strong to the upside, right? Because it's above. Just look at this picture right here and just imagine that if the purple line is above it, then there's strong upward momentum. So I wanted the upward momentum. You'll see that I bought this. I bought it here because you can see that little blue line. That was me buying it off of the high of this right here, right, entering right at the purple line, and you can see I basically lost immediately. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And I checked, and it was my own fault, and this is the emotional and mental game that comes into play, and it was like my own fault. I should have known. There was every indication that the Fed was going to make his announcement, Jerome Powell was going to make an announcement this morning and speak at 10 or 10:30. Like, this wasn't a secret or anything, and I should have known. But I didn't. I was just focusing on the first 15 minutes of the day, and despite the upward strong momentum, I completely lost. Now, what I was saying before, and the thing that I said wrong, was I should have said, I meant that I was not looking for the short here. So imagine I'm only seeing this, right? And I see my RSI is still above 60. I'm slightly concerned about, 3 red candles in a row, slightly, but these are only 15-minute candles. I am still well above 60. I'm looking for more buys than sells here, and if I had taken the sell here, I would have had this, or I would have been in the trade, and then also I would have gotten stopped out. So this can happen sometimes too. You can whipsaw back and forth outside of the range of the first 15 minutes and get stopped out both ways, right? The system is, if you break above this, you buy, and if you break below this, you sell. In this case, in today's case, both wouldn't have worked. Like, neither one would have made you money on the first try. So let's pretend for a moment I did take this. I got stopped out right here, right across the purple line, and then I got in the long, right? I got in the long, and then I got stopped out by this nasty little candle here. So this is one of those days where it wouldn't have worked. If for whatever reason you gave yourself an edge and you were like you were anticipating this nasty movement somehow, I don't know how you could have known that. Unless you're Jerome Powell himself, maybe. I don't know how you could have known that. But if you were anticipating something crazy like this happening, or you were just ready for it, or you were just quick to pull the trigger, you probably could have caught, you chased some of this, more of like on a, probably on a shorter time frame, on something like this maybe, where you have, it's a 3-minute chart. So you probably could have caught some of this nasty move, right? This really fast drop by 70 plus points. You probably could have caught some of that. I don't know how you would. I personally don't know how you can anticipate those things with high probability. So that's why I'm I felt it never feels good to feel. I mean, it never feels good to lose a trade, right? And so in this case, I had to tell myself, I had to kind of like make myself feel better by saying, okay, so here is so from here to here is your opening range right here, these 5 candles right here. And at least you knew not to take the short one. So this one could have been a loss of, what are we working with here? 14 points or so. Yeah, so it's like a 14-point range. It's a 14-point zone, which is closer to that's like a $70 per contract kind of loss on the micros. So this is like this is $70 per contract that I saved myself, on one side of the trade by not taking the short. I took the long. I was wrong there too. But instead of losing 70 times 2, I only lost 70 times 1. And there, in hindsight, is 2020 and all that. And I coulda, woulda, shoulda, taken this short. It did break below. I could have taken an order and I would have gotten filled. But if I think about that too much, it becomes like a stressful kind of day if I just sit and stew in that kind of regret. So that was it for the day for me. And another thing I told myself to make myself feel a little bit better is that I lost. It would have been, if you just followed the system to the T, you would have lost both ways. I only lost one way, so I kind of mitigated my losses by using the RSI. But another thing I told myself to make myself feel better is that, good job for following the system, but also you had a winner overnight. So technically I'm still in profit. Not going to show you the actual numbers because I would actually be showing my account number and stuff like that, and I'm not going to do that. I'll figure out a way to not show that because I'm not shy about the profits. But it was like 200 something dollars that in profit yesterday, and 70 loss today. So I'm still technically in profit. So that's kind of what I say to make myself feel better, and say like, hey, just quit while the day is while you're ahead. Just quit while you're ahead, and don't worry about the rest of the day, because I'll be honest, like I have a propensity to want to chase something like this and see if I can chase it down, and it's a very, very choppy move down. So there's it's a very low probability kind of move, but I sometimes hope to get lucky anyway. And most of the time, sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. Which like those kinds of moves always end up being a loser for me. So anyway, to summarize, today's day 2 of the week, second day of the week. First day yesterday we had a winner, which was let me just switch up the calendar. I mean the time frame here. Where was June 15? Let's go hourly. Here we are. So so yesterday I remember kicking myself by, because I sold myself short. I could have made twice as much as the move as when my original target was, but hey, what are you gonna do? If I keep regretting stuff that I do, then it's gonna bias my next trade. So all the coulda, woulda, shoulda stuff I'm sharing here with you guys, but in the moment of trading, I ignore that as much as possible, and it is a conscious effort to keep awareness of my own emotional state and mental state. I don't think that gets talked about enough. So that's why I make these kinds of videos for you guys. And yesterday, to sum up the week so far, we had a winning trade yesterday. It was a, let's see, it was from, I don't know at what price I got in, somewhere in the middle here. And because I know I was filled right away, but it was like a 70, almost a 70-point move. Actually, probably a little bit less because it was my profits were only 200 something, not 300 something. And that's another thing too. Like, I don't really count my dollars all that much. I really just I know that I don't have the most mental bandwidth of everybody that I met. So my strategy for handling that is ignoring a lot of the things that don't matter. So as long as I know that I won like, over like 50 points, I know I made at least $250. So like anything above that, I'm not really paying attention to because I'm satisfied I hit my target. So that was yesterday's was a winning trade, and then I also had an overnight trade on my other account that I shouldn't really count in these videos because these are only for daily breakouts. So we're one winner and one loser for the week so far. So we're 1-on-1, but because of our risk reward ratio, even though we won a day and we lost a day, we're still technically above in profit, and that's the kind of trading that I like. You win one, you lose one, but you're not break even. You're actually in profit. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. A lot of people do it the other way, where they have like, I especially watch out for those systems that are like, 99% rate, like win streak or something like that. Like I hit 99% of my trades are like winners, or some more reasonable percentage, but still not really any better, like 75% win rate, right? It's the 20 usually in those types of systems. It's kind of how they get you. You take a look at how badly that 25% of a loss drains your account. Take a look at how badly it does, because oftentimes the risk reward is set up backwards so that the 25% of the time they lose can more than make up for the 75% of the time that they win. In which case you're back to square one, right? You could win 3, but you lose the 4th one, and because the 4th one was a much bigger loss than your previous 3, you're just back to break even. And so in those cases, the percentage win rate doesn't mean anything, right? It's completely useless to say stuff like that when if you lose one trade, you're going to be back to break even. So that's absolutely not the kind of thing we're looking for here. At the very least, I'm looking for a 2-to-1. If it really kind of depends on the size of the zone that I'm trading. So if the range here for today was a 14-point range, that's about as big as I want to make it. So I won't really put in any additional contracts or put in any like I won't split the zone and take a smaller level, because if it's too big. So let's pretend for a minute that I I should probably get rid of this line. This was from yesterday. Let's pretend the initial level was as big as between the red line and the green line, which is exactly 75 points, right? I put it there for a reason, as markers for just like mental psychological prices. You could probably see why, right? It's like a good area of both resistance and support at the same time, depending on where you're coming from. Anyway, if my opening range was something as crazy as 75 points, I wouldn't take the entire range. It's just too big of a risk to take 2 trades with that big of a zone. So I would look for something smaller, either taking a look at either candle structure. Like I like the look of this, so I might just take something as small as this, somewhere in the middle, or I might just take use a different set of criteria to figure out and narrow down my entry and my risk. So that hasn't occurred yet, but just putting it on your radar. Today it was very simple. I just lost. And yesterday was very simple. I just won. Like it's just right now we're in like a 50-50 kind of record. But as things get more complicated, and I imagine, with the way this is kind of consolidating right now, tomorrow can be a very tricky day. So stay tuned. Tomorrow I will definitely be doing another follow-up video like this. If I figure out my equipment and how to go live on multiple platforms and everything goes well and my computer can actually handle it, I might actually do a live in the morning, but no promises yet. What I can promise is that I will definitely do a wrap-up summary video like I did just now. So that about does it for this week's video. We're 1 for 1, but technically still in profit. Stay tuned for tomorrow and I'll let you know whether we are 2-1 or 1-2 in terms of winning and losing days for the week. Okay, alrighty. That's it for tonight's video. Thanks for joining. Whether it was on Facebook or YouTube, make sure you subscribe and follow so that you get notifications for tomorrow's video. More daily content just like this. Stay tuned for the next video